Hey guys, this is Stan Prokopenko. Welcome to another episode of Proko. In this episode, I will show you step by step how I draw an eye. I recommend you watch my previous video in which I cover the structure of each individual part of the eye. So, every drawing starts with a lay-in. This phase is usually linear and is focused on proportions and shape design. You want to make sure that the major shapes are the right size and in the right place before you start adding details. Most of the time, my lay-in process involves starting with the biggest shapes and then breaking it up into smaller and smaller shapes. Start with the angles of the eyebrow, go down the side of the nose, under the bottom lid, and around the side of the socket. I like to group the lids, sclera, and iris into one shape at first. I feel that it's easier to get this shape accurately placed inside the socket instead of drawing all the pieces individually. I make sure to observe all the angles of the plane changes. Then I can break down this group into smaller pieces. When you're drawing the lids, make sure you include the bottom plane of the top lid and the top plane of the bottom lid. This will show the thickness of the lids. This eye is looking directly at us, so it will be a perfect circle. Usually the top lid will cover more of the iris than the bottom lid. Don't forget about the thickness of the eyebrow, and make sure that the distance from the brow to the top lid is correct. Step 2. The two-value stage is very important. Most people want to jump ahead and start rendering details. If you're advanced, you can do whatever you want. Otherwise, I suggest simplifying the process. The two-value stage involves separating the areas that are directly lit from areas that are in shadow. To clarify, halftones are considered part of the lights, and reflected light is considered part of the shadow. If this terminology isn't familiar to you, I'll try to get a video on that later. For now, you can take a look at my blog post. I've added a link to it in the description box below. So I'm observing the light pattern and trying to design those shapes. This stage should look clean and graphic. You should only have one value for the lights and one value for the shadows. My shadow value is usually around 4 on the value scale. Number 3. Now I'll put in the darkest areas of the drawing. I do this to establish my value range, meaning I have the darkest and lightest values in my drawing. You'll typically find the dark accents in core shadows, deep creases like on the top lid, and areas that have a darker local value, like the hair of the eyebrow. After putting in the dark accents, you should start to see the reflected light in your drawing. Notice that I didn't erase the reflected lights to make them lighter. I just darkened around them. Step 4. At this point, I switch to the lit areas of the drawing and I focus on the gradations and plane changes to make the forms read a little bit more three-dimensionally. If you find the highlights, then you'll know that everything around them just needs to be a little bit darker as the planes turn away from the light source. And step 5. Finally, I'll go through the whole drawing one more time and clean up anything that I think can make the forms read better. I'll sharpen some edges, clean up shapes, and maybe add some more details. So for example, I want to sharpen this cast shadow from the top lid and make sure that its shape wraps around the eyeball. I'll add some fuzzy eyelashes, and I'm almost done here. Okay, I'll call this one finished. I'll be giving away this drawing and the drawing I did in the previous video. If you want a chance to win, just find my Facebook page and reshare the post to this video or the first eye video, or both. I'll pick the winner on September 28th. Hey, by the way, if you want me to use your photo in one of these videos and you haven't sent one in yet, you still have time. I still have to do tutorials on the nose, lips, ears, and hair. So keep those photos coming. The main things I request is a good balance of light and shadows, so please don't use a flash. And since I'm publishing these videos in HD, of course the higher the resolution, the better. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate everyone who has already contributed. Hey, if you like this video, your friends might too. Please help me out and share this video on your favorite social network. And don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter on proco.com.